There's two really good rogues. It's hard to say which one is the best because I haven't really played against the US rogue in this expansion. I mean, obviously for EU, it's Waz, and for US, it's Peekaboo.
One thing that makes Pika such a good rogue is he's really, really good offensively, I've noticed, compared to other rogues I watched. I think he enjoys the game. It shows in your gameplay if you enjoy the game. I think sometimes defensively he's maybe not the strongest, but I think offensively he's by far better than many other rogues I've ever seen play.
Looks like he will be able to keep himself alive with that generation. Big swap on Saji. Can the corner take him down? They get his trinket and delete him.
I think what makes Waz such a great rogue is that he's been so competitive for so long. He's been around for a very long time, and it's kind of just recently in these recent expansions that he's really shown what kind of potential he actually has. And I think he's surrounded by a very solid team, and he's playing a very strong comp a lot of the time. And he's just very dedicated to the game. He takes a lot of time into it. He takes it very seriously. And it shows with his gameplay. He's very consistent, and he's able to get wins off of any team in the world, it seems like.
Pistol stun into Cheap Shot into Gas, and they take him down! Whoa. What was that damage? The game-winning gouge coming in from Waz, denying anything.
He adapts really, really well. I feel like he also just, he multi-classes really well too. He's just, yeah, I mean, Waz is incredible.
I think the best rogue is probably Pika. He's just really consistent, and he only plays rogue too, so that's the only thing he has to focus on.
I've been playing with Pika since the very beginning of MOB, and he's always been one of the top tier rogues.
The move is, it's a move, you know, it's a movement.
Two of the best rogues in the world, and you can see they got a lot of respect for each other as well. So it's time to throw them into the arena and have them destroy each other. We're gonna have to see who comes out on top, who the #1 rogue is really going to be. We got some stats in front of us right now. These are just from BFA, and we are actually seeing very similar win percentages across the two of them.
I remember very clearly in the summer season calling Waz on a fantastic win rate on the Outlaw Rogue. That could be something interesting to see. 100% in Battle for Azeroth. Both of these rogues are just of such high caliber. It's going to be a fantastic match no matter which way it goes.
I think the one thing is Waz is probably the king of pirates, right? That is one of the biggest strengths that Waz really has had. And you heard Pika say it as well. The additional advantage that Waz definitely has is they had a team that throughout the entire year had 2 compositions that seemed to be the #1 composition. So all of a sudden, it becomes nearly impossible to counter them.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things to note about Pirate Rogue in this type of environment, so these players aren't allowed to use add-ons, right? You cannot, there's no DR tracker, there's no cooldown trackers, there's no trinket trackers. You can make some little macros to start and stop the stopwatch, but like I said before in the last matchup, the big thing to note is with that Outlaw Rogue, if they play it, is they're gonna have the 90-second blind. It kind of gets a little bit disconnected and you can come out of nowhere and destroy people.
Yeah, it is a huge factor. Zico's been talking about it quite a bit as well. And as much as this is a battle of the rogues, this is just one of the battles of the best. This could easily be a grand final. Method Black being that team throughout the entirety of the year that just won cup after cup after cup. The only thing to keep in mind is that potentially in BFA, they've struggled a little bit more than they did throughout the rest of the season. 57% of you, though, think that the Gosu Crew is going to be able to take it. And if you are an NA fan, a lot of the times, making that vote, it's just the move. The game's going to open now. Method Black versus the Gosu Crew.
Method Black, the #1 team from Europe against the Gosu Crew, the move from North America. We're starting out with the Turbo Cleave against the Shadow Priest Hunter composition.
Yeah, we are. It's going to be Swapsy on that Enhancement Shaman, Waz on that Arms Bearer, and Chaz on the Holy Paladin, and they're going to bring the heat against the Gosu Crew. We all know WizK is an excellent Shadow Priest, Absurge an excellent Resto Shaman, and Jellybeans a superb Survival Hunter as well. We see both teams just going ham at each other right away. Hammer of Justice on the Absurge, a lot of pressure on the WizK, already forcing out the Dispersion, getting so much damage with this Avenger Crusade as well, but now a full trap on the Chaz. They could turn things around. They've already forced Swapsy's Astral Shift as well. So he could be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of cooldowns coming out from the Gosu Crew as well, though, of course. Chaz, one of the things you do bring on this Holy Paladin is just a bunch of defensive cooldowns. You can see he hasn't gone through any of his arsenal just yet. He still has both the Hand of Sacrifices, both the Blessing of Protections. Meanwhile, WizK taking a lot of damage, has already used the Dispersion. We've already seen the Trinket and the Spirit Link. Method Black definitely have the upper hand in this one.
Waz has already used his dive at the sword and the Rallying Cry. Not sure what happened there, though, and they're taking a lot of pressure. Chaz actually getting run down by Jelly Beans. He's going aggressive onto him during the time he has the Blessing of Sac. Nice kick by Jelly Beans as well, keeping up the pressure and the momentum onto him and stun onto him. Waz is in trouble. He doesn't have those defensive cooldowns. The tank Trinket does. And at the same time, Absurge caught into a Hex. This is where Method Black can turn the momentum, get a lot of pressure on the WizK, and the Jelly Beans are full fear as well. The Absurge, he has to use the life swap right now. Huge defensive cooldowns have been used by both teams, Adrian.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Waz, we talk about Waz. He's backed up by two-time BlizzCon champion Swapsy, crusher of dreams and mages, among other things. And he's been doing a fantastic job landing those Hexes over onto Absurge. We can see Chaz now. He has Blinding Light available, a 2-minute offensive. Crowd control, he's looking for it right now. This could be the game-winning blind if they can land it. Full Hex secured by Swapsy. They're looking for the kill here. No defensive cooldowns on the Gosu Crew. Full blind to follow up. WizK in trouble. Mind Bomb, the last line of defense. Thunder comes through. Executes come through. And in game 1, Method Black secure it.
Oh my goodness. Seeing a Shadow Priest look that vulnerable throughout a matchup is not something that we see very frequently. We need to talk about why that pressure was there and why WizK honestly looked like paper.
It was a really great strat. I mean, they immediately went into it knowing that, okay, we have our first checkbox that we were talking about before. We got to make sure he doesn't get to Edge of Insanity. He doesn't get full Insanity. But when you're playing against a Shadow Priest that's as good as WizK, he's going to do everything he can to get that as fast as he can. And then, so once they were able to make it through there, they decided to not stop. And they started dumping offensive cooldowns over and over. Shortly into the match, 30 seconds in, they didn't have any defensive cooldowns left. We saw the really early Spirit Link. It just seems like Method Black just right out of the gates wanted offensive pressure and just non-stop damage.
I've talked to Raikou so much about this matchup. Obviously, this has been on the two teams' minds since opening week. They've all been thinking about this. Raikou, yesterday at lunchtime, the most confident ever. Yesterday at dinner time, he thought they'd definitely lose. And just before backstage, he seemed super confident. And Waz said the same thing. This series will either go very much in their favor or very much against them. They didn't know which, but that was a very dominant game 1.
I mean, that was about as fast as you can see a turbo go, Joe. I know you like to go fast. How was the turbo able to get that pressure?
I mean, when turbo time comes out to play, it's always a pleasure to see. So, and
disagree,
but yeah, he actually played good. There was a bit of defensive errors in my opinion, but they played offensively superb, getting those crowd control onto Absurge, forcing out that dispersion instantly. They just got defensive cooldowns very early on, and that put them in a great lead. And you got to say, it's just so good to have Swapsy on their team for that reason.
I mean, usually with WizK, we don't see him pop any defensive cooldowns for like an hour. He's able to hold on to him for so long, and he rotates through every single one very quickly.
Yeah, the crowd control is really what sealed the deal for me in this. Method Black, we saw right at the end, there was a life grip where I saw Absurge getting gripped into the middle of everyone. And, you know, for a second I was like, why would you ever do that, you know? But then when the camera panned a little bit, we saw that Chaz was actually chasing him around for that blinding light, and that's actually what sealed them the deal at the end of the match. Got a Hex off, and it's the worst feeling ever when you don't have a Trinket and you're sitting in CC and there's a Holy Paladin standing right next to you, ready to blinding light.
It's really difficult because I think Method Black, normally you see the turbo cleave and we talk about the weaknesses of the composition, it's a lack of crowd control. They found a way of making this look like a rogue mage almost. Like, Swapsy landed every single Hex out of the stuns. They had the blinding light. They just played the composition so perfectly. And against a Shadow Priest, that's what you need to break through the defense.
So we have two very different teams stylistically throughout the entire year in both of these squads. The Gosu Crew, the entire year, they just said, we're going to play the way that we want to play. This is what we're good at. Yes, it might not be in the meta, but we're going to make it work. And they got here, and they have looked convincing throughout the entire year. Method Black, on the other hand, I feel like they kind of look and go, oh, this is the meta, let's do it better. And that's definitely something that has gotten them very far as well. Now, my question is, what do we expect to see in the rest of the series? We talk up the idea of the Battle of the Rogues, and then we jump in and we don't see any rogues. That just goes to show how many compositions they really do have at their disposal.
Yeah, this is a really difficult situation for the Gosu Crew because the Gosu Crew are some of the best at their classes, but they haven't shown us too many compositions. WizK's been multi-classing a little bit, but they've definitely been a team that when they're offensive, they're fantastic. When they've been put to the test, for example, by pen and paper, they just kind of try and get more aggressive, otherwise it doesn't work. And that's why I think they're in a difficult situation here. I almost feel like they might be forced off the Shadow Priest here. Maybe they bring out a Thug Cleave, maybe WizK brings out something different. It's not a situation you want to be in, though, because he's just such a fantastic Shadow Priest in the first place.
VL, I do feel like when you look at the Gosu Crew, this is a team that's used to being that pacemaker, used to being that tempo setter. But then you look at Jellybeans and you say, bringing him in, regardless of what tempo you're going to be dancing at, this is somebody you want as your dancing partner. He was up here on the main stage last year, and he got NA very far.
Yeah, they definitely did. You know, when we talk about best hunters we've ever seen, Jellybeans is right at the top of the list. You know, we've seen him be very versatile. It's great to have somebody that's really confident in the plays too. You can tell that, you know, with playing survival, you really have to commit with your CC chains. You know, you're putting yourself out of position with the harpoons to land the traps. But he's always been doing a great job, and you have someone like that. Not only does he have the stage experience up on the stage, you know, seems really confident every time that he's up there, and that can round out a team very well.
I feel like Jellybeans in particular is just one of those players who does not notice the pressure at all. Like, he would very easily be the type of dude to just kick up his feet on the main stage like he was at home in between matches. He feels comfortable there. But Joe, how do you think a hunter composition would actually play into this turbo?
I think a hunter composition is good, and like we said, Jellybeans, in my mind, the best hunter in the world, period. And a lot of players, such as Jamie and a lot of other Europeans, think he just plays that superbly, but I just think it doesn't work with the Shadow Priest Shaman because Turbo Cleave loves meeting Shadow Priest Shaman. They can just tunnel them down, shut them down, and get a lot of pressure. So I would love to see the Thug Cleave coming out and Peekaboo on that rogue as well.
I think there could be a bunch of different compositions, but I think it's fair to say, myself, probably most of the people in the arena want to see Peekaboo coming out. We spent a lot of time hyping him up. He's been the playmaker on this squad. Put him in the biggest series that they potentially will play this year.
Hey, if I got everything I wanted, it would be Waz versus Peekaboo right now, both on road.
And some
so
nice shades.
There's definitely, yeah, that's true as well. But definitely here, I think they are going to be locking in whichever composition they do feel like gives them the upper hand. They're going to have to be locking it in right now. Let's see what the Gosu Crew is going to be bringing.
Oh, there we go.
And there it is. Yeah!
Oh, the crowd love that one. Peekaboo coming out not only on the rogue, but that outlaw specialization, looking to make Waz walk the plank here in North America, maybe showing him that this is his home turf.
And also, it has that potential, too, to hit the pride just a little bit. Be like, come on, Waz, get on the road.
Yeah, I mean, Peekaboo even stated on his stream, if Waz queued anything outside rogue, he would annihilate him. So now he's going to have to talk the talk, I mean, walk the walk, because now he's against Waz's Warrior, and I don't know, I feel like Waz Warrior could still take this.
VL, do you think this is where potentially Peekaboo can live up to that and destroy him?
I think this is where the series comes back at this point. I think it's a great choice. I think it's awesome to see Peekaboo on that Outlaw Rogue. He seemed really confident when we were talking to him, and we'll have to see if it pays off.
I think this is definitely a pretty exciting thing to see, and also, if they are able to take it, we start to see how this series may get established. And this isn't necessarily one that's going to come down to that blind pick, but compositions are going to be key. I think we could see a whole bundle of compositions coming out from these squads.
I think certainly on the side of Method Black, this is the thing with this roster. They come in with a game plan. They also have 5 other game plans. With the Gosu Crew, we said it against pen and paper. They win on pure talent. They don't necessarily, they can get caught off guard, but they will find a way during the game of adapting and winning. It was the Thug Cleave that saw them through. It was Peekaboo that saw them through. I think Peekaboo, I mean, when it comes to talent, on the rogue, he's potentially the best. Waz, across all the classes though, he's proved some fantastic stuff multi-classing throughout the year, and maybe that's going to be enough at this stage.
And we haven't even talked about Swabsy right now. You can see for quite a bit there. He is the one who is talking right now. He is the one who is pulling a lot of the strings, and they're making these decisions. He's one of the most intelligent people to play the game. And right now, I bet he's looking at the pick, just going, okay, this is exactly what we want to do at this exact second. This is when the heels are going to start hitting for less. BL, this is the guy that we need to be thinking about.
It definitely is, and it makes such a difference when you have somebody like that on your team. Not only that can remember all the matchups and what the accepted strat is to go, but also someone who can innovate on the fly, right on the stage. And when you have somebody that you have so much confidence in, you know, even when they give you the most off-the-wall strategy, that you're going to follow it because he's proven. I mean, he wins BlizzCon all the time.
Just pretty much every year that he comes here, he tends to win Blizz. Joe, what's it like to play with somebody like Swapsy on the main stage in an environment like this?
It just gives you that confidence when you play with a player like him who knows pretty much everything, so you know exactly what your win condition is. It's like it's already been planned out, so it's excellent to have, and it makes you feel more confident in your own gameplay and just make sure you're able to take down your opponents.
The guys were joking about it, but it comes to, it's every walk of life that Swapsy is really giving them advice on. And one of the jokes that Waz was actually saying is that Swapsy's telling them exactly how much they should cut their nails, the optimal fingernail length to be competing on the main stage. You got to make sure that you click as hard as possible, because that's actually how you do more damage in World of Warcraft. I'm not sure if you guys knew that, but we're ready to jump into the second game here. It is going to be Method Black who is leading by 1, but the Gosu Crew have made a little bit of a move, switching up who they're bringing into the arena. Will it be enough for them to tie up the series?
There was no way that this series would end without Peekaboo leaving his mark on it. He will take it into his own hands here on Ashermane's fall, going up against a formidable Turbo Cleave here, though Method Black have been the most dominant team throughout the year across any region, and they're looking to make that mark here at BlizzCon.
Yeah, now Peekaboo subbed in on that Outlaw Rogue, replacing WizK, trying to get pressure instantly onto Waz. Looks like they're going for blood, a full blind onto Chaz right now. Here's where Waz is going to get tested. Will he use that die by the sword? He gets disarmed. He can't use it just yet. He might just fall. The Blessing of Sacrifice comes in the nick of time from Chaz, holding on to that. Well played by Waz defensively, but already a lot of pressure on the Chaz. He uses that Avenging Wrath, and now Peekaboo also uses his own parry.
This is the first time ever that Peekaboo and Waz have been in the same arena as each other in competitive play, and so far Peekaboo has got the better of the exchange, forcing cooldowns from Waz. Trinket now forced. Peekaboo looking to cut through. He's actually going so aggressive here, trying to go through the Trinket on Waz. Chance needs to get healed through. Rallying try might not be enough. They're trying to turn it around. Shamanism comes out. Both this Rogue and this Warrior dropping solo. Absurge trades out the Trinket Spirit Link. Now Chaz in trouble. Both these teams trading blows constantly.
Waz has been low HP this game. The Gosu Crew are finding the move to try and take down Waz right now, in a full trap on the Chaz, but Peekaboo getting insanely low as well, has no huge defensive cooldowns, no Spirit Link as well. He could be in some trouble right now. Absurge needs to keep him alive. If they get any crowd control on the Absurge, this could be game for the Gosu Crew.
Both these teams come from completely different trades, from different regions, from basically everything that they see. The way they look at the game is different, but they both love aggressive play. Peekaboo and Waz, both very fast-paced players. Peekaboo is the one taking the majority of the damage now. We see a full Hammer of Justice over onto Absurge, but a kick from Peekaboo denies the follow-up. Hex, good play from him. Now Waz, the person in trouble. Died by the sword comes out. Last defensive cooldown for this Warrior. He could be in a lot of trouble, but a good defensive fear. Could we even turn offensively? Do they have follow-up? Peekaboo runs away. He's looking for the executes. Waz almost low. This game has been so back and forth.
You see both Waz and Peekaboo trading blows, getting lower and lower. You can see a lot of pride on the line. Both of these guys just want to take each other down, but Waz is getting very low right now. A defensive heroic lead to keep him alive was a good play. Peekaboo's also going to have that parry, but he actually trinkets out of that cheap shot to Stormbolt Peekaboo. That could be a costly move right now if they can get any crowd control to Chaz, but they may not even need it. They get him super low. They force out the last Blessing of Sacrifice. Waz can be in trouble if they don't find a move on Peekaboo.
Yeah, Waz has been the one running away, but Jason says, Peekaboo, I see you. He's constantly in pursuit on this Rogue now, running for his own life, though. Gets caught up in the stun on Waz. Chaz basically has no defensive cooldowns, so the next crowd control could easily take down Method Black in game 2 here. Waz on the run, full trap on Chaz. Do they have follow-up? Looks like the Stormbolt on Jellybean should be enough. Reconnecting over to his healer is Waz, trying to get some heals, but the full stun here. Method Black may fall. Disarm comes out. Jellybeans trying to connect for the finishing blow as Chaz reconnects. Should be able to get some heals out.
That was an excellent defensive heroic leap from Waz, but it's not out of the waters yet. He's still low on HP. Peekaboo, Jellybeans, and Absurge are all over them with this onslaught of pressure right now. And Peekaboo, he has that defensive parry if needs be. Full trap on the Chaz, but Waz doing an excellent job with a defensive blade storm to immune the stun for now. Try and kite away, but he's taking a lot of damage. Chaz has nothing to save him. Full blind. Waz could just go down here. He uses a fear defensively. He really needs to survive. Cheap shot onto Chaz. Waz dropping lower and lower, but a nice defensive stormbow as well. It looks like he's going to cling on to life.
Yeah, Jellybeans beat Swapsy. He upset Swapsy last year. He's looking to do it again here with this Thug Cleave. Chaz, no cooldowns are remaining. Next trap could easily be the game, but Peekaboo also needs to be careful. Preemptive Urban Shield Totem from Absturge. Now they're looking to go offensive here. Waz disarmed. Do they have the stun to follow up? The trap doesn't look like it as the full stun from Waz. Triggered it. Wind Shear though might be enough to take down Waz. So low on health. They're pursuing. They're looking for the kill. Will they tie it up? Waz so low. Peekaboo looking for it. I don't know how to still alive there. Waz falls, and now we're tied up. What a piece.
NA strikes back. The Gosu Crew going to be able to tie up this series, and I'm pretty sure before we jumped into this one, we mentioned the fact that Peekaboo said if Waz enters the arena on anything but a rogue, he's going to be able to destroy him. But that wasn't destruction in any sense of the word. That was about as back and forth as it can go. Both of these teams bringing all-out aggression. And now the question is, do we continue to see these compositions going back and forth, VL?
I don't think we'll see this matchup happen quite again. Now that Method Black is going to be able to answer the pressure, I'm actually curious what Gosu Crew is going to throw against them in the next round. It definitely does depend on the map, of course, but you know, Method Black, this turbo has been incredible. Waz was so impressive in that last match. Everything. When we saw him trinket the cheap shot to Stormbolt, I thought it was over at that moment, but he was able to kite away. His defensive heroic leaps are incredible. You know, got to give a shout out to Jellybeans though, and tons of crowd control, doing an excellent job of keeping Chaz definitely in the wraps.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about Waz and Peekaboo as both of them being very, very aggressive players, and we see both of the teams going for strategies that rely on aggression, but we also see them both getting forced into being defensive time and time again. We see Waz with those heroic leaps. We also see Peekaboo trying to harpoon out of danger quite a few times, and it's kind of the question of who really did get to set the tempo in that one, Joe.
I mean, usually I would say the Thug Leap kind of sets the tempo because of that crowd control from Jellybeans we were talking about, which makes them having to play defensive, but was saving those heroic leaps to make sure he can just pretty much not use defensive cooldowns, or when they're out of defensive cooldowns that they can survive. And the same with Peekaboo there. It was nice to see. I mean, we usually see their aggression, and obviously it paid out, but there were moments where he did defensive hooks to get away from trouble, which allowed them to just stay in the game.
Folks, it's aggression versus aggression, and it's all tied up. Just a few short moments, and we're going to be jumping right back into the action. Check out the new Blizzard's esports mobile app. For the first time ever, all Blizzard esports content can be found in one place. Get the latest news and schedules for your favorite esports events all year long. Set alerts for tune-in reminders so you can watch live and check out scores to stay up to date. You can even tailor the look of the app to match your favorite game, and look forward to even more features coming in 2019. Download the Blizzard's esports mobile app right now.
In the Overwatch League, you're hyping up the chat, taking your team to hashtag trending, and spreading memes at tracer level speed.
All while watching us cap the point.
Speed like that deserves a network that can keep up. With T-Mobile, get all the Overwatch League you can handle with coast-to-coast coverage. Now your arena is where you make it.
When I first started playing Priest, Pika was someone who I'd watch stream. Then when I started versing him in Arena, I'm like, okay, I can see why he's pretty good. And then after a while, you learn from watching him, and then you learn from versing him a lot. And I think he has the game pretty much on lock from his point of view.
I think Was is the best rogue in the world if he can play his own game. As long as the game goes into Was's plan in his head, I think he plays the best. He knows what to do when the gates open. I think he plays perfect, better than Peekaboo does. But the one thing that Peekaboo and other rogues has, sometimes is they're more flow-based, which they do really well, but they're individually, I think they're worse players.
Peekaboo is obviously an incredible player. I've known him for quite some time. I've actually been, a fan of his. I've always thought he was really good. I noticed that as soon as I started playing against him in MoP, that he was a talented player, and he's actually been to almost, I think, every single LAN since that year. Maybe not BlizzCon, but he's just been consistently really, really good.
Wes is very good at doing goes as every comp they play. He's like covering everyone, like controlling the game to the best of his ability, and he's good at playing defensive as well, which a lot of rogues just seem to die.
Personally, I don't really care about all this drama when it comes to me or Peekaboo. I will play the game like every other game, and I will go in there, hungry to take them out.
Well, Waz may not care about the drama, but I certainly do. And we're about to have an answer here. And I think one thing that's in our mind is, are we going to get to see the Rogue versus Rogue matchup? It looks like for now, we're going to see the same compositions again, completely tied up. The big change, though, going to Dalaran Sewers. Tight quarters here. Joe, how is this going to affect the flow of the matchup?
Well, I think this allows Chaz to kind of line of sight easily, and also allows Waz and Swapsy to connect easier. But at the same time, Peekaboo and Jellybeans will be connecting easier as well. So I'm not really too sure on the map comp, but it is, pretty much known to be in a good turbo map. And I think Waz is just back on that warrior because they know, Swapsy knows the strengths as the turbo cleave, and they want to slay as that comp.
The last one, it was a story of aggression versus aggression. Now when we head to Dalaran Sewers, does it look like we're going to get to see that even more?
I think so, yeah. Obviously the Turbo Cleave, the Warrior Enhanced Shaman is going to have a lot of non-stop pressure. Small map, they'll be able to connect a lot. But I think the special element for the Gosu Crew, if Jellybeans is going to be running the high explosive trap, when you have 2 melee and you're constantly getting thrown off the top of Dalaran Sewers down to the bottom, it can really disrupt your plans. And I think that's where, if the Gosu Crew wants to seal the deal with this map, I think that's what they're going to have to rely on.
So Jellybean's going to be one of those players to definitely look at in this one. Healing said, if you had to pick a player that you wanted to keep your eyes on in this particular matchup, who would it be?
I think Waz. The reason being that Raikou in that last video said, when Waz has the game going the way he wants it to, he's the best player in the world. I think I would potentially even agree with that statement. Obviously, he's on the same team, so he's going to say that. But when Waz doesn't have a game go the way he wants it to, sometimes he does go on tilt just a little bit. That last game, he was running Jewel, he was running talents set up to defend Swapsy. He did not expect Peekaboo to go after him in that game. And he did have some good defensive plays, yes, some good heroic leaps, but definitely the offense fell apart in that last game. They bring out Chaz on the Restoration Shaman here, which I think will provide a few more hexes. But honestly, when I said this series would go one way or another, it's Method Black who was saying that, right? It's Method Black. They don't have another composition into this thug cleave. They're just playing the turbo cleave every time. I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make swapping the Paladin for the Shaman. If the Gosu Crew wins this one, I think they could take the series.
I think that is a huge telling thing that happens as soon as we get out of Dalaran Sewers, right? Is there just an answer here? Is there not an answer on the side of Method Black? Has the Gosu Crew cracked the cookie? Have they figured out exactly what they need to be doing for the rest of this series?
I think they may have, although the Turbo Cleave, I think they could do a few talent changes. We saw Waz running with that Jewel, which is completely useless if you get tunneled down, so maybe they just weren't expecting it. So maybe with a talent change like bringing in the War Banner to reduce the CC onto the healer, they could make it very difficult for the Thug Cleave to get some pressure, but the Gosu Crew played this comp so well.
So one thing to note, actually, really smart, we talked about Swapsy being kind of the tactical commander of the team. They have all switched to Orc, which means Peekaboo's not going to have a great time with those stuns.
That is definitely a huge thing to look at going into this matchup. The gates are open. Method Black versus the Gosu Crew. Make some noise because whoever takes this one finds themselves on match point.
This could be the swing match for the Gosu Crew. If they win this, they will definitely have momentum in the series, but it's still a Turbo Cleave, and it's still Waz on that Warrior. He pushes in aggressively, gets the fear, looking for a good opener here over onto Jellybeans.
Yeah, he is immediately dismantled by Peekaboo, and we're going to be seeing that coming out the entire game. A full blind on the Chaz, choosing to sit it right now because he has the Earthen Wall totem out, but Swapsy forced to use the Astral Shift as well, so huge defensives. At the same time, Peekaboo and Jellybeans, both these melees just going at each other, doing a lot of damage right now. Chaz also popping the Ascendants to keep his team alive. Absolute uses defensives also.
Yeah, we see Chaz caught up in the full trap right now. Killing spree over onto Waz, has to trade out his trinket already in this game. The Gosu Crew looking strong. Jellybeans, though, needs to kite away, needs to be careful. Of course, the Survival Hunter is a unique spec of Hunter in that it's mostly focused on melee damage, but he still can do a lot of kiting, do a lot of damage from range. It seems like the Gosu Crew have actually swapped up the strategy a little bit here. They're putting cleave damage onto both Swapsy and Waz, and it's working very well for them.
It's getting a lot of pressure indeed, although Chaz still being able to keep them alive, has defensive corners, but gets put into a full trap right now. Waz taking pressure, nice disarm on a Peekaboo to stop some of that pressure, and a Hex onto Swapsy with a follow-up sap on the Chaz. Nice CC coming in from the Gosu Crew there, controlling the game, forcing defensive cooldowns after the defensive cooldowns, and if they keep this up, they could just slay Waz or Swapsy.
One of the big things, of course, Chaz playing that Restoration Shaman does bring is the Earthen Shield Totem, but Swapsy needs to be careful to stay inside of that. If he ducks outside, could be trouble for him. We see Jellybeans caught up behind the pillar here in a full stun, taking damage. Absurge definitely having to do more healing as his mana's dropping low, but Waz also needs to be careful with his health. Chaz trying to move the team kind of behind the pillar, but Absurge in pole pursuit, able to get out those heals. He's doing a very good job keeping up with his high turbo damage.
He's doing an excellent job, but now both healers in crowd control. Chaz actually using his Trinket Spirit Link on that blind right now. Peekaboo and Jelly taking so much damage. Absolutely popping his Ascenders, trying to keep both teams alive. Both healers are just doing as much as they can. They're all taking so much damage. Swapsy getting incredibly low right now. He just started through the Astral. I can't believe they killed him through that defensive corner. The Gosu Crew find the move to take down Method Black.
And now they are on match point. They just need one more, and it looks like they have an answer to this composition. And you know what was so brilliant about what we just saw? We talk about some changes that can be made on the side of Method Black. The Gosu Crew realizes that strategy can be changed up. So what do? Well, they just change their strategy. Let Method Black do whatever they want. They keep them guessing.
I thought it was great. I actually thought that it was going to go into Method Black's favor towards the end of that match, actually. Chaz's positioning was incredible, able to pull the entire match where he wanted it to, but unfortunately, they were able, Peekaboo was able to land a great sap onto Chaz right at the end and sealed the game.
And Gosu Crew are a team that feed off of this momentum. They live for the crowd. Jellybeans last year beat Swapsy. He jumped up and down, the entire crowd roaring in support for this player. He's here once again against the Method from Europe, the favorite from Europe, and he's beating them once again on the main stage.
It's so crazy to think that Jellybeans kind of is that like Swapsy destroyer, right? Because
the kryptonite.
Exactly. I mean, if Jellybeans wasn't able to beat him last year, we may live in a reality right now where we see that dynasty still together, right? We could maybe not even see the team that they're playing against because it would have been something like 37 million BlizzCon wins for them. This was a roster, this was a player that was able to take down the Titans, the people that had been reigning on that throne for such a long time. And now you put him up on the main stage again. And yeah, we have to hype up everybody on this team, but it's Jellybeans in my mind who is kind of that X factor. He just performed so well in an environment like this, and that is not something that you see in players every day.
I mean, it's not, and this is why he gets so much hype from players like Jamie and all the European rosters. They think Jellybeans is one step up on the Hunter compared to anyone. And we can see it here because they were just able to get a kill, which I didn't even see coming. They destroyed Swapsy through that Astral Shift, and this is what I'm talking about with the Gosu Crew. They find the move to take down the opponents where no other team could.
And we have to talk about Method Black just a little bit more, though, because think about how this team did come together. We start to talk about what Jellybeans was able to do to actually defeat that long-reigning team that was able to pull down BlizzCon after BlizzCon and had prospects to do it again. But you look at Method Black, and it's kind of a super team in a way. You basically see Waz and Raikou have played together for so long, and they've just fallen short time and time again. They split off, and they just pick up the best of the best, VHEL.
And now you can see, right on your screen, you can see Swapsy just talking through everything right now. If there's anyone that can figure out a way to take down this Thug Cleave, it is going to be Swapsy. He must have an answer, and they have one more shot at it.
And the thing is that may mean something a little bit riskier, right? They may actually switch compositions here with their backs against the wall. Do you want to note, though, big picture really quickly, folks? These teams, these are 2 of the 4 teams that have not lost a single series. This is a double elimination tournament, so whoever loses this drops down to the lower portion of the bracket. Now, what do you think the spiciness is that Method Black may bring to this one, Adrian?
I have an idea. There was a composition they were talking to me about. I don't want to say it before they lock it in, but there was one thing that Method Black had prepared as a last resort for this matchup, which was incredibly exciting, and it would potentially mean Waz coming back to the Rogue, which would be fantastic. I think everyone would love to see that Rogue versus Rogue here. Waz, you've been challenged by Peekaboo. Peekaboo said you would not beat him on any other class. He's locked in the Rogue once again. Oscar, it's your move.
It really is, because now the prophecy becomes true by Peekaboo. If we don't see that Rogue come out here, if we don't see that answer, because it's looking like it is going to be very difficult to take down the Gosu Crew on this composition. Method Black, they have some time to lock in this composition, and they need to keep in mind as well what the bracket looks like if they do break out a secret. There is some level of maybe potentially wanting to hide a really crazy comp when you know you still have the lower bracket as well as that second lifeline. But I feel like in this matchup, the bracket starts to look just, you progress very far if you're able to take down the Gosu Crew here.
Oh, you really are. It's an incredible feat at that point. You know, waiting in the lower brackets is a lot of great teams so far that we've seen. You know, there's Pen and Paper, which is lurking down there, of course. You know, if we have one of these teams go down, it's going to be a bloodbath down there. Plus, I mean, think about the next match that we have coming up. The loser of that going down to face off against these guys, like, that is not a place you want to be.
You do not want to be in a position where you don't have an additional lifeline when you're playing against Method Orange and Skill Cap EU, right? Because that is a permutation that can actually happen right now if you drop down to the lower portion of the bracket. These are the powerhouse teams. These are the 4 best teams in the world. And then you look at the 4 that remain in the lower bracket, and they have the potential to take a series off of absolutely everyone. And Method Black, I can't blame you right now. Take those 15 seconds, take them slow, because if you don't lock in the right composition, I know Supertease likes to say it, but Ruins of Lordaeron may be a fitting final resting place, and they're sticking to their guns.
They are sticking to their guns. They're bringing in that Turbo Cleave once again. So Waz on the Arms Warrior, Swapsy on the Enhancement Shaman, and Chaz on that Holy Paladin, but they got destroyed on Asher main, so I'm not sure. And, you know, Peekaboo living up to his words right now. He said if Waz can't Q Rogue into him, he would annihilate him, and that just might happen.
I think we could kind of tell that the BlizzCon audience wanted to maybe see the Rogue versus Rogue matchup. I think that's what that was there. But we're going to have to see, is there a big strategy change coming in here? Because as of right now, yes, it has been played close. Yes, there was pressure on both sides, but Healing Stat, comp versus comp, does it look like Method Black can switch it up?
I mean, that's what I've been thinking the entire time. I think if Gosu Crew have this Turbo Cleave it's a very odd situation because Method Black always seem to have something. They're like a Tempo Storm, but they have also so much, I mean, they just have so much talent on this roster. They can do so many things. They have Swapsy. If Swapsy can't come up with an answer for this Thug Cleave coming out of Gosu Crew, I'm starting to wonder if anyone can, because this is going to be the game to decide it. I think the Holy Paladin did perform better than the Restoration Shaman, but it wasn't a favorable matchup.
No, but I will say, like, looking at the difference between the two matchups, or the previous matches, the Holy Paladin really was. Chaz and Holy Paladin really made some plays. And if they need something to happen in this one, I think it's going to be that. I really like the Blinding Light setups that they were doing. You know, he was doing a great job of keeping this team alive. They can play really offensive with the 2 ultimate sacrifices. So there's a lot of versatility they have, and I think this was the right pick.
It's really interesting. I can't stop thinking about the entire year as well, right? Because Method Black finds themselves in a very different position. Even when you do kind of consider them similar to Tempo Storm to a certain degree, you also need to think of the fact that they were pretty much at full power throughout the entirety of Legion. They had so many compositions that were their main compositions just based off of how their team is structured, and they could switch between the two, and they pretty much they didn't have a blind spot. You look on the side of the Gosu Crew, the meta never favored them that much, but they got better and better tournament after tournament. They didn't have as dominant of a year that when you actually look at it, they're playing against Method Orange, and in the end, it went down to the very last tournament, to the very last second, determining who that #1 team is. So very different roads, both incredible teams. And now, Ruins of Lordaeron, it may be that fitting final resting place as we jump in here. Will the Gosu Crew be able to take the series?
This is upper bracket. Neither of these teams have lost, but Peekaboo has never lost to Waz, and he's looking to keep that up in this series. One more time, Peekaboo, on that Outlaw Rogue. They will knock Method Black down to the lower bracket if they win this game.
Yeah, the Gosu Crew are match point right now. They just need to win this one to move on into the upper finals. And already a Stalker on the Peekaboo with a half trap on the Chaz. Not going to get too much there. Urban Wall Tome being used by Upsurge to mitigate a lot of that damage. Full blind on the Chaz, already forcing the Trinket. Astral Shrift out of Swapsy. This is a good start for the Gosu Crew.
Yeah, Gosu Crew just read Method Black like a well-written book. I mean, they went on Waz last time this matchup played out. Now Waz playing Talents to keep himself alive. They're swapping over to Swapsy, who they killed very easily in the last game through his defensive cooldown. So Swapsy going to trade that out at higher health. We see Chaz now running the Avenging Crusader as well, so he's going to have a huge amount of damage right now, as well as healing, but that's already over. Hand of Sacrifice has to come out. Bad start for Method Black.
Yeah, and I like the split pressure from the Gosu Crew. They get Waz on the back foot, as well as Swapsy. Full stun on the Chaz right now, forcing out the wall. Swapsy has no Astral Shift. They could just take him down already, but it looks like he's going to live. He's going to be okay. Chaz is going to pump out those heals, keep him atop. Jellybees, although he's playing so well aggressively, just keeping them on the back foot as well. They find a Hex onto Upsurge, but nothing else really happening.
Yeah, Chaz has been quickly impressing me as one of the best Holy Paladins in the world. He's had a fantastic tournament on that class. We see now Shamanism, Method Black trying to get aggressive here, but once again just kind of mitigated by the Earth and Shield Totem from Upsurge. That's a trade that we'll always be looking for. Shamanism, of course, big offensive cooldown, 1 minute cooldown, but easily traded for. Chaz will need to get some heals onto Swapsy here. Uses the human ratio, Blessing of Sacrifice, holding the health of Swapsy. That's the last one. Method Black is running low on defenses.
The Gosu Crew are running circles around Method Black right now, forcing defensive cooldown after defensive cooldown, and there's another one. Blessing of Protection being used, but at the same time, Jellybeans gets bursted down by Swapsy, and Waz forced into that aspect of the turtle, so he's going to need to be careful. But at the same time, full blind on the Chaz. He needs to bubble out to save Swapsy. The heals are just about enough, but he uses the Astral Shift now as well to survive that killing spree. Both teams going at each other, getting so much pressure on each other. Now the turbos have turned.
This is very scary. Upsurge could get caught up in a crowd control and Jellybeans could die. Meanwhile, Chaz in a full trap, trying to keep his team alive. We see Spirit Link Totem, last defensive cooldown for the Gosu Crew. Swapsy, though, in trouble, trying to kite away. Waz also low, died by the sword, comes out. Chaz also low. Method Black are running. Everyone dying, but the Avenging Crusader, huge heals from Chaz. He's trying to keep his team in the fight, and they're looking for the kill.
Both teams are going so aggressive, but Dismantle on the Chaz's Avenging Wrath. You don't usually see that. The stun onto Waz as well. He's used the Radiant Cry. It's just about faded. He's super low on HP right now. Chaz in a full trap, but he actually pre-sacks it. That's keeping them alive. Now Jellybeans is super low. He's running for his life right now. Absolute has no defensive cooldowns to keep them alive. Swapsy and Waz are doing a lot of pressure here. They could just take him down. Baosat's into it now. He's trying to slay both Pika and Jellybeans. They have absolutely nothing. Execute range. Nice gouge on the Waz, but he just goes down to those executes. Method Black take it back. And now we're going to have our fifth game.
This deserves a game 5. And when you look at it, we kept saying it looked like this composition wasn't going to be able to pull it down. And all of a sudden, they find the pressure. Was it the Paladin in your mind?
I think it was, but it was really scary. I'm pretty sure Chaz may have sacked the wrong target when Swapsy almost died at the opener. Right, because the first one came out on Waz, right? Second one came out on Waz, but he was almost full health at that point. Could have seen that wrong, but I thought it was over at that moment. It was going to be it. The dismantle on the Avenging Crusader was awesome. What a great play that was. But I think the overwhelming damage at the end, like we were saying, they were just out of cooldowns at the end.
I think it's undeniable that there were many moments where I thought it was over.
Oh, yeah.
that was just about as aggressive as you could get time and time again. Healing set, this one truly back and forth.
We've seen some Paladins live on very low health on Ruins of Lordran at the BlizzCon stage. I think Botar might have done it against a fan favorite around here a couple of years ago. Now Chaz keeps himself up in dangerous, scary situations, but it's not over yet. We've got a game 5 still to come. I think it's fair to say both these teams probably going to lock in the same composition. Paladin Turbo, obviously the front foot for Method Black, but Gosu Crew been looking great on this Survival Hunter. The one thing I will call out though in that game, which was an adaptation from Method Black, they killed the pet of Jellybeans. And once you force the aspect of the turtle and you kill that pet, against a disruptive composition like the Turbo Cleave, it's so hard to get it back up, and you lose so much utility on that Hunter. So that's a strategy I'd love to see Method Black employing more.
A lot of that utility would be able to keep you alive as well, and that's why when we see Hunters get into that position, you see that feeble, sad moment of trying to revive Pet over and over and over again, and the Shears coming on in, trying to actually kick it. But guys, we need to let this settle for just a second here. The player is going to be locking in their compositions. It's going to a game 5. Who is going to be able to take it? Method Black or the Gosu Crew?
The 2018 World of Warcraft Arena World Championship is brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Corsair, T-Mobile, Samsung SSD, and NVIDIA.
In the Overwatch League, you're hyping up the chat, taking your team to hashtag trending, and spreading memes at tracer level speed.
All while watching us cap the point.
Speed like that deserves a network that can keep up. With T-Mobile, get all the Overwatch League you can handle with coast-to-coast coverage. Now your arena is where you make it.
EU versus NA, Rogue versus Rogue. BlizzCon, are you ready for Game 5? The Gosu Crew versus Method Black, two very different roads to get here. And both of them, let's be honest, have looked absolutely phenomenal, but only one of them will stay in the upper portion of the bracket. One will drop down to the lower portion. We've seen the same compositions. Peekaboo, he said he was going to chew up Waz if he was on anything but the Rogue. And the prophecy is starting to come true, and it looks like the comp that the Gosu Crew has been bringing may be the move, but we're going to have to find out if Method Black can answer here.
It's Game 5, it's Tigers Peak Arena, Method Black versus the Gosu Crew. The winner will play once again later today in our upper bracket final. It's going to be such a close game. Once again, Chaz with that Relentless, with the Avenging Crusader. Let's see what the Gosu Crew can get done.
It's going to be a close game once again. Really went neck and neck on Ruins of Lordaeron and now on Tigers Peak. We're going to see how this unfolds. Already a blind onto Chaz as well. Disarm on the Waz, they're getting a lot of pressure instantly onto him, as well as Swapsy. This cleave pressure proving too much. Stun on the Chaz as well. They're dropping very low. Not using any defensive cooldowns right now. They're just about holding onto it, and now Chaz using that Avenging Crusader to keep them alive. He gets rooted on it, has to freedom them out to be able to keep up, and now they can turn the pressure. That's a good opening for Method Black.
It's a good opening for Method Black. They get a good defensive trade there. Now crowd control coming out over onto Absturge. This Avenging Crusader doing work for Chaz. Very difficult to break through that healing cooldown for the Paladin, but now it's expired. Now we can see the Gosu Crew looking to make the move here. We'll see Jelly Beans maybe pushing in for a little bit of crowd control. Right now he's just kind of kiting away, slowing down the game. They don't want to throw it here. This is Game 5 after all.
Jelly Beans baited that Blessing of Sacrifice out from Chaz, and now he could get a full trap, but Waz is on top of him. Charges Jelly Beans, puts a disarm on him, but Jelly Beans could just trap him up. Chaz trying his best to avoid it, uses the horse there to ride away to victory, and now it's well played by him to deny the trap from Jelly Beans. He may land it very soon, and this could be huge trouble for Method Black right now. Disarm on the Waz as well. The killing spree gets popped, but a nice defensive fear from Waz onto Absurge and Peekaboo to deny that pressure.
So much high-level play happening here. First, the preemptive Blessing of Protection from Chaz, then the preemptive Urban Shield Totem from Absturge to answer. Both these teams playing at a top-tier caliber right now. Full Hex over onto Swapsy. He's out the game for a little while here. Waz getting aggressive. He trades out Avatar, looking to get damage over onto Jelly Beans. He's doing such a good job just kiting away, using that Hunter mobility to the best of its ability. And now we see Chaz caught up in the trap. His team rotting down. No Avenging Crusader. He's going to have some work to do.
He will have some work to do. A half snap onto Chaz as well. Nice defensive heroic leap from Waz once again, but he's taking a lot of pressure right now. Has to use that disarm on the Peekaboo. You can tell both teams do not want to lose this game. They are playing defensively to a T, but right now Swapsy and Waz taking so much damage. Chaz gonna have that Avenger Crusader soon. Nice kick though from Jelly Beans. They're gonna pop the heroism as well, trying to get some pressure on the Peekaboo. They force the parry onto him, as well as that Earthen Wall Thomas, an overlap of huge defensive cooldowns right now. Method Black are looking to slay them.
They might have an opening here. I'd actually like to have seen Chaz hold on to that blinding light. Doesn't really achieve anything since the defensives were already traded out from the Gosu Crew. Slight faltering play from Method Black there, though the Avenging Crusader from Chaz will keep his team stabilized. So going for that offensive play to kind of top his team at the same time. Respectable decision making, especially when the pressure is this high. Now we need to see where the crowd control comes for Method Black. They have the lead in this game. Cooldown still available, Hand of Sacrifice, Divine Shield for Chaz. If they can get one crowd control here onto Absturge, you can see Peekaboo, without many mitigating cooldowns, could be an opening.
Yeah, and they Stormbot him, getting a lot of burst pressure right now. Absturge staying max distance. He definitely doesn't want to get hit by a wind shield. here to keep them alive. Full trap on the Chaz though right now as well. Waz gets stunned. He's in defensive stance though. Full blind on the Chaz. Waz could take some pressure. Nice crowd control coming out from the Gosu Crew, but once again that defensive heroic lead gonna get him out of trouble, allowing him to live.
Yeah, Waz with a huge outplay there. Actually got the preemptive disarm on the stun over on Peekaboo, so fantastic plays from Waz. He knows he wants to win it. Now Peekaboo trying to get aggressive though over on Swapsy. Shamanism popped, although once again traded out for that Urban Shield. Totem mana starting to even out as Method Black once again finding themselves in a situation where the entire team is running down. Chaz has some work to do. No Avenging Crusader for quite a while here as we see the full fear. Method Black trying to counter the pressure, but Peekaboo just sitting a full clean stealth. Well played by him.
Yeah, that was a nice vanish indeed. That's going to hold on to other defensive cooldowns, make sure that he's safe the entire time. Gouge into trap on the Chaz, but they don't really get too much with that. Absurge and Chaz actually are pretty equal on mana. Both teams just keeping up the aggression, keeping up the crowd control to slay each other. This game could go either way, Adrian.
We're starting to see it now. Both these healers running low on mana. Both these teams need your energy. Method Black versus Gosu Crew. Game 5 here. Europe versus North America. One team will win. One team will advance. And now we can see Chaz, low on mana, does have that Avenging Crusader access momentarily here. He'll be playing for that. The question is, how will they get aggressive? Will they get crowd control over onto Absurge? Because Peekaboo is dropping low.
Either team could go down. Peekaboo doesn't have the parry. He had to use it as soon as he get it. But after this Avenger Crusader from Chaz, I'm not sure how he's going to keep his team alive. The Gosu Crew could just survive this. A full blind on the Chaz during that Avenger Crusader right now. Can they follow it up with anything? Doesn't look like it. Nice defensive play from Swapsy, but a triple cap stun going to just shut them down completely. And now he has no Avenger Crusader, only one Blessing of Sacrifice to keep them alive. But at the same time, Hammer of Justice on an Absurge. Peekaboo dropping very low. A defensive vanish overlap with a Trinket Spirit Link right now. The Gosu Crew are going to be in a lot of trouble if Method Black can keep up this aggression.
That wasn't even the blinding light. This is dangerous times for the Gosu Crew. One more crowd control could seal the deal, but there's no Hand of Sacrifices either for Chaz. This is the cutthroat moment in the game, ladies and gentlemen. Either of these teams could die at this point. Chaz caught up in a full trap, does have that Divine Shield. That's the last defensive for Method Black on the Paladin here. But if Absurge gets caught up, I'd love to see Chaz cross the map. You can see he's mounted. He's going for the crowd control. If he lands the Hammer of Justice into the blind, Peekaboo could be a very exposed target here. Even Jellybeans could, but he's so low on mana, they need to get the kill soon.
Yeah, you see Absurge is running for his life right now. Chaz trying to connect that Hammer of Justice, but he uses the Earthen Wall Totem to try and bait out the Hammer of Justice. That's very nice. Both disarms happening as well. A Heroism coming out from Swapsy, but Waz is going to be disarmed. A nice stun defensively on the Swapsy. They really just want to survive. They get the pressure. Full trap on the Chaz. He uses his bubble to get out of it. Fulfilled Absurge that Peekaboo in a lot of trouble. He had to hook away just in the nick of time during that Stormwall. Absurge is in a full hex. He is running for dear life right now. That was an excellent defensive move by Peekaboo.
Peekaboo with the outplay is the only reason he's still alive in this game. Now he's looking to turn the pressure over onto Waz. Full blind on Chaz. Able to force out the die by the sword. The last defensive for Waz here. Now, look at the situation. Suddenly the tables have turned. The Gosu Crew's making their moves. Full trap. Chaz and Swapsy in trouble. Astral Shift popped. He's still low. Chaz able to get out a few heals here. That Avenging Crusader is available. He gets enough mana to use it to hopefully stabilize his team for his sake. Swapsy, though, still struggling. Dampening's at 12%.
Yeah, dampening is high. Swapsy gets super low on HP. They have to use the Blessing of Sacrifice as well to keep him alive. But down goes Peekaboo. Method Black find the kill on him. That was incredibly close. I can't believe they did that. Method Black win the 5th game.
We had all but counted out Method Black, but you need to think about what the EU region has done time and time again. Every land this year, EU wins. The throne has been held by EU since 2014 on the BlizzCon main stage, and once again, EU sends a message to NA, but we're not out of chances, not at all. But now you got to see, what will the Gosu Crew be able to do in the lower portion of the bracket, because Method Black is going to stay in one of the most dominant positions. Let's talk about how they were able to do it. Vihel, we talked about these two compositions going head to head, and we just see Method Black making these micro changes time and time again throughout the series.
Yeah, I mean, it was the little mistakes that you capitalize on. I mean, look at how close the entire end of that match was.
Yeah, and you can see the teams are still playing it out. I think the chances at this point aren't going to be so high for them. Of course, once one of the players does die, it's going to be very difficult for the Gosu Crew, but I respect them playing it out. And it looks like Method Black have now finally secured it. They will be the team advancing to the upper bracket final. Of course, both these teams still in the competition, but Method Black will see them again later today.
We just see, look, when you look at Method Black and you talk about them throughout the year, they were the scariest team. We get to BFA, all of a sudden, there is a question whether or not they're going to be that scariest team. Well, they just took down one of the top dogs and sent them down to the lower portion of the bracket. Joe, just how scary are these guys?
I mean, there was that question mark in BFA, the last two cups. They didn't really perform to standards, but this tournament, now beating the Gosu Crew, you can just see how well diversified they have been, playing old compositions, you know, Waz on that warrior, but you gotta just think, I give a lot of credit to Swapsy. Him joining this team gave them a lot of multi-comping compositions at their disposal, and it's got them into the upper finals today.
I don't just think Swapsy is one of the best players in the game. I think he probably is the best teammate to have. Just everything he brings to the table. Like, there is a joke between a lot of the players when we were interviewing him. He's like, yeah, he's the guy who reads every spell the best. He is the guy who reads every single trait the best. He is the guy that figures out combinations where other people just can't see him.
He's just so good, and I tell you, if he's something annoying to play, or something good to play with, he's something very annoying to play against at the same time. I can say that from my personal experience. Such a great player. Now, of course, Raikou, who's a player he's beaten, Waz is a player he's beaten. Now they're combined. They've provided this kind of juggernaut roster, and it's one that's looking incredibly difficult to beat. The Gosu Crew came close. There's still a couple more opportunities for teams to beat them, but Method Black, whew,
that was so close. That was so incredibly close right there at the end. If Chaz would have hesitated for a split second on that sacrifice, it would have gone the other way.
Exactly, and this is one of the reasons when we talk about Method Black, look at that entire series. There were so many times where it looked like it was just done, like they didn't have another shot. Staying on a composition like that, it takes so much resolve, Joe. It seems like the natural thing to do. We even said it on the desk, and we got 3 competitors, former competitors, on this desk saying, switch comps, please, switch comps, and Joe, they don't do it.
They don't do it, and I think it's very cutthroat, you know, especially coming in from Swapsy. He just knows that the reason why they lost isn't the composition, it's just more about gameplay and those talent choices, like we saw Waz swap out that Jewel earlier and switch to the War Banner, which is just those talent changes that can be the key to winning those matchups that are close.
Method Black put this roster together for one reason, and it was to win BlizzCon. They've made it this far already, and the question is, how far can they really go? You have 2 players that have come close so many times, a player that's been able to do it on the main stage, and Chaz, who just seems like he can do just about anything, one of the best healers in the world.
Yeah, I was really impressed by Chaz on the Holy Paladin. I still have some question marks personally for him on the Restoration Shaman. I think we have some fantastic Shamans here, especially from North America actually. Absturge, Sidu obviously, and Cubsy, who was in the competition before. Chaz still got to step up on that Restoration Shaman for me. But on the Holy Paladin, I would say he's the best one here right now.
Now, before we even touch down into the arena, we talked about Waz versus Peekaboo. We need to hear from the man that came out victorious. We got Waz on stage.
I'm joined here with Waz of Method Black. That was an insane series against the Gosu Crew. A lot of people coming into this matchup expected a rogue versus rogue matchup. What led to your decision to play Warrior?
To be honest, Warrior is just super strong into other rogues, and it's also good into survival. And we just decided to play the Disarm and tunnel the rogue and try to play on their mistakes.
Yeah, I think it was a smart decision. It can be difficult in that spot with your backs against the wall to stick to that decision. So well done to you. Your next match is going to be up against either Method Orange or Skill-Capped EU. Which one of those teams would you rather go against and why?
Skill-Capped EU, we faced them before. We know what to expect. I think Sidu's team is one of the favorites here. I think the crowd can agree with that. So it would be fun to see Sidu in the final. I would rather want that. Method versus Method, so that would be nice.
Yeah, potential Method versus Method final here in this tournament. And lastly, how does it feel to finally settle the score in a long-anticipated matchup?
I mean, it's like 2016, I beat their team as well, so I don't know, they played insane. The games were so good. The last game was crazy. Chaz was completely dry. He didn't even have mana to sack, and then he got it off, and then we turned it around and win at the end.
Yeah, well, congratulations on an insane series. Thanks for chatting with us. Back to you, Rich.
A truly